Hello class 8, I am Hemlata Verma and I welcome you all in today's session of civics. In this video, I will deal with another organ of Indian government, that is Union Executive. The Government of India works through its three main organs: the legislature, the executive and the judiciary. The legislature makes law, the executive enforces the law and the judiciary interprets the law and safeguards the constitution. In the last chapter, we studied that how the parliament, that is both the Lok Sabha and the Raj Sabha, they makes law for the country. Now, in this chapter, we will study that how those laws are executed by the Union Executive. The executive of the Government of India consists of the President, the Vice President, Prime Minister, Council of Ministers and civil servants. Now, let us study about President. Under the parliamentary form of government, the President is a constitutional head of the executive of the Indian Union. As a matter of fact, the President is only a nominal head. Now, what do we mean by nominal? Nominal means existing in name only. So, he is the head in the name only. The main power lies in the hand of the Prime Ministers and the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers, but the President is the head of the country. The government is efficiently run by the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers on behalf of the President. The real executive power lies in the Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister. To seek elections to the high office in the Parliament of India, a candidate should be a citizen of India. He should be at least 35 years of age at the time of election. He should not hold any office of profit under the central or state government. So, the first qualification we have seen that he should be a citizen of India. Then he should be 35 years of age. He did not hold any office of profit under state or central government. That means he should not be doing a government job, okay, in the state government or in the central government, and he must be qualified for election as a member of Lok Sabha. Now, let us understand how a President of India is elected. The elected members of both the houses of the Parliament and the elected members of the Legislative Assembly elect the President by casting their vote. So, electoral college, a joint body of elected MPs and MLAs, they elect the President of India. He is not directly elected by the citizen of India. He is a temporary body. That means after every 5 years election is being held and a new president is elected. Okay. So, need for indirect election. Now, let us understand what is the need for indirect election. So, direct election would require tremendous work, time and heavy expenditure. Okay. So, they cannot be elected directly by the citizen of India. Now, elected president elected president cannot be a nominal head. That means he cannot be a head of the country only by name. If he is directly elected by the citizens of India, like USA. Now, in USA, take the example of USA. Over there, the president is elected directly elected by the citizens of the country. So, the president is very powerful over there. But in our country, he is elected by the elected members of both the houses and state legislative assembly. So, he is not as powerful. He is only head of the country by his name. The real power lies with the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. Okay. So, president is elected for the term of 5 years. He may also resign before the expiry of his term. Now, vice president acts as a president during the vacancy period. That means, when president is not available, if he is sick or if he is out of the country, in that case the vice president acts as a president. Now, there is there are ways to remove also. Procedure for impeachment, that means what are there is a procedure if president has to be removed from his office. Okay. So, what are those procedures? Violation of the constitution, bribery, misuse of his status. If a president is found doing all this thing, violating the constitution, bribery or misuse of his status, then he can be removed. But how he can be removed? He can only be removed by the resolution which is moved in both the houses of the parliament, that is the Lok Sabha and the Raj Sabha, and it should be supported or voted by 2/3 majority, and that is almost 66% of the members of Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha should vote against him. Then only he can be removed from his office. Now, let us understand the powers of the president. He have many powers like executive power, legislative power, judiciary power, financial power, emergency powers. Okay. But as I have told you before, these powers are not real powers. Okay. The real power lies in the hand of the Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister. So, these power he only enjoys this power when by taking consent of the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. So, let us see what are the executive powers. He appoints the Prime Minister and Union Ministers. That means, when a Prime Minister is elected, when after the general election, the majority party, the leader of the majority party is considered to be the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister appoints the Union Minister. But the President appoint them, they give them appointment letter, they give them their duties, the signature he signs in the certificates of the Prime Minister or Union Ministers. So, we can say that he appoints the Prime Minister and Union Ministers. He appoints the state governor, the judges of the Supreme Court and the High Courts, the Auditor General, the Attorney General and the members of the Union Public Service Commission. Okay. But he does not do all this by himself, he takes the concern of the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. He is the supreme commander of the armed force. That means, he is the supreme commander of all the three armed force, the army, the navy and the air force. Okay. So, he can give orders to all the three armed force. All contracts and treaties with foreign countries are made on his name. So, these were the executive powers of the president. Now, let us understand the legislative powers of the president. The president can summon, prorogue or dissolve the parliament. He addresses the joint session of both the houses every year. He nominates 212 members to the Rajya Sabha. Okay. So, all the others 245 members of the Rajya Sabha are elected by the by the members of the Legislative Assembly, but 12 members of the Rajya Sabha are nominated by the President. Okay? No bill passed by the Parliament can become a law without the President assent. So, you have already studied in the last chapter when the bill is introduced in the Lok Sabha first, and after discussion in the Lok Sabha, and if the Lok Sabha passes it, then it is produced in the Rajya Sabha. After Rajya Sabha passes the bill, it goes to the President for his assent, and after the signature of the President only, that bill can become a law. Next is, he issue ordinance when the Parliament is not in session. So, in the case if the Parliament is dissolved and it is not in session, he can pass orders. Ordinance means order in this case of emergency. The state of emergency is proclaimed in the name of the President, and the Union Council of Members use the emergency power in his name. The President addresses the two homes jointly. They meet at the first time after the general election. So, after the general election, when the new government is formed, then the President addresses both the house together. He also addresses the joint session of both the houses at the beginning of every year. Now, let us understand the judicial power of the President. He is not answerable to any law court for the exercise of his power except in the case of impeachment in Parliament. So, he is not answerable to any court, either High Court or Supreme Court. He is not answerable. He can pardon, remit or suspend a sentence of punishment or a death sentence passed by the court. So, he has the power to pardon an accused if he is sentenced to death by any court, either by the Supreme Court or by the High Court. Now, there are financial powers. Now, let us learn about the financial powers. The President caused the budget to be presented to the Parliament every year. So, he orders to present the annual budget of the country in the Parliament. No money bill can be introduced into his without his prior approval. Now, there are two kinds of bill. One is money bill and other is the ordinary bill. So, any bill other than the money bill is known as the ordinary bill. So, if the Lok Sabha can introduce the ordinary bill without the prior approval of the President, but money bill cannot be introduced without his prior approval. Now, next is, he appoints the Finance Commission from time to time to determine the distribution of taxes between the Union and the states. Now, let us understand the emergency power of the President. The President can declare emergency if the security of India is threatened by external aggregation or internal rebellion. Okay? There is a breakdown of constitution machineries in the state. So, he has the emergency power if there is a breakdown of constitutional machinery in the state. Okay? And if he can also declare emergency if the financial stability of the country is threatened. Now, let us understand about the function of the Vice President. In the absence of the President, the Vice President carries out his functions. The Vice President is elected by the member of both the houses of Parliament. He is an Indian citizen having completed 35 years of age. He is the ex officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha. He presides over the session of the houses and regulates debate and proceedings. he hold this office for 5 years. So, his term of office is 5 years. That means, he is elected for the term of 5 years, and but he may also resign before his term ends. He may be removed from the office by a resolution passed by an absolute majority of both the houses of the parliament. That is, he can only be removed if a resolution is passed by 2/3 members of both the houses, that is almost 66% of member has to vote against him in both the houses of Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, then only he can be removed from his office. Now, let us know the names of the presidents of India till date. Dr. Rajendra Prasad, he was the first president of India, and his term of his office was 1950 to 1962. Then the next president was Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, then Dr. Zakir Hussain, Mr. V.V. Giri, Mr. Fakhruddin Ali Ahmad. He was in his office from 1974 to 1977. Mr. Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy, Mr. Gyani Jail Singh, Mr. R. Venkataraman, Mr. Dr. S. D. Sharma. Okay. The next was Dr. K. R. Narayanan from 1997 to 2002. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam from 2002 to 2007. Srimati Pratibha Patil from 207 to 212. Mr. Pranab Mukherjee from 212 to 217, and the present President of India is Mr. Ramnath Kovind. Now, he is Dr. Rajendra Prasad. He was an Indian independence activist, lawyer and scholar. He is the first President of India and in the office from 1950 to 1962. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam was an Indian aerospace scientist and politician who served as the 11th President of India from 2002 to 2007. He was born and raised in Rameshwaram in Tamil Nadu and studied physics and aerospace engineering. Mrs. Pratibha Patil is the only woman President of India. She is an Indian politician who served as the 12th President of India from 2007 to 2012. She had also served as the Governor of Rajasthan. The leader of the political party or parties securing absolute majority in the Lok Sabha is appointed by the President as the Prime Minister. There are three categories of ministers: Cabinet Ministers, Minister of State and Deputy Ministers. The Cabinet Minister hold important portfolios such as Home, Finance, Defence, etc. The Prime Minister of India is the most important person in the government of a country. First of all, he is the leader of Lok Sabha and the leader of the largest political party or a combination of parties that we call a coalition party represented in the Lok Sabha. He has the responsibility of managing the affairs of the country, both internal as well as external. He is the chief spokesperson of the government. The Prime Minister prepares the list of the members of the Parliament to be appointed as the President, and the President is obliged to appoint them as such. The Council of Ministers, headed by the Prime Minister, is the most powerful institution in the Indian body politics. Now, let us understand The eligibility to be a minister. A person to be appointed as a minister must be the member of either the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha. But an outsider can also be appointed as a minister for 6 months, during which he or she must become an elected or nominated member of the either house. In case of failure to do so, he and she ceases to be the minister after the expiry of 6 months from the date of his appointment. The Prime Minister allots one or more departments to each minister. This is known as allotment of portfolios. The ministers are known by the portfolio they hold, for example, Minister of Defence, Minister of Finance, etc. The Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers are directly responsible to the Lok Sabha and can remain in the office so long as they enjoy the majority support in the House of the people. All important decisions are taken by the cabinet ministers. The decision of the cabinet are binding upon all other ministers. Now, let us understand the powers and functions of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister selects the other ministers. He distributes portfolios among them. He presides over cabinet meeting and decides the business to be transacted at such meetings. The Prime Minister can also demand a resignation from any minister. He reports to the President and decisions of the cabinet and also advises the President. That means, he reports all the decision made by the cabinet and he also advises the President on the proroguing and dissolving of the Lok Sabha. The Prime Minister can also expand his cabinet. That means, he can add more members in his cabinet whenever he wants. He advises the President to various appointments to important posts such as the judges to the Supreme Court, governors or ambassadors. So, both of them together, the Prime Minister and President, they consult each other for appointment on these important posts. Now, let us know the names of the Prime Ministers of India till date. The first Prime Minister of India was Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, and he held his office from 1947 to 1964. Then the second Prime Minister was Shri Lal Bahadur Shastri. Then Srimati Indira Gandhi from 1966 to 67. Then Mr. Morarji Desai, then Shri Charan Singh, Srimati Indira Gandhi, Shri Rajiv Gandhi, then Mr. VP Singh, then Shri Chandrasekhar Azad, then Shri Narasimha Rao, Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee from May 17 to June 1, 1996, then Shri H.D. Devo Gowda, then Shri I.K. Gujral. The 14th Prime Minister was Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee from 1998 to 2004. The next Prime Minister was Dr. Manmohan Singh from 2004 to 2014, and the present Prime Minister is Shri Narendra Modi. Indira Gandhi's full name is Indira Priyadarshini Gandhi. She was an Indian politician and a control figure of Indian National Congress. She was the first and to date the only female Prime Minister of India. Narendra Damodar Das Modi is an Indian politician serving as the 14th and the current Prime Minister of India. He is a member of Bharatiya Janata Party. He was the 14th Chief Minister of the state of Gujarat also. He was elected Prime Minister of India in May 2014. Now we will know about the civil services. The President, the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers form the political executive at the central. The cabinet only formulates the policies, while the real execution is left to the civil or public servants. They are not the member of any political party. They are expected to be impartial of the policy or a law. They are the administratives or permanent executive. That means they are not elected, so their term is not only 5 years, their term is the full service of 60 to 65 years. Most of the civil servants at the center are selected by the Union Public Service Commission. So, let us recap the taught matters today. The executive of the Government of India consists of the President, the Vice President, the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. The President of India is the nominal head of the country. The term of the President is 5 years. The Vice President carries out the functions of the President in his absence. The leaders of the political party securing absolute majority in the Lok Sabha is appointed by the President as the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister himself selects the member of the Council of Ministers. There are 3 categories of ministers in the Council of Ministers. They are Cabinet Ministers, Ministers of State and Deputy Ministers. The Prime Minister coordinates the works of all ministers and the department. The Prime Minister and other ministers are all collectively responsible for the Parliament. The execution of politics is left to the civil or public servants. Now, I hope everybody understood this chapter. We will meet in the next video. Till then, goodbye. Take care.